right, I'm not sure, but you see me looking over to my left. I'm looking at the other device that I have over here that is connected up to TikTok. Hello, iBiggers48. Thank you for joining. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the likes. Yes, so on TikTok they give you likes and all that good stuff. So just want to make sure that I keep both of you engaged. So just in case you're wondering, I go live. I stream live every well, right now I'm doing Tuesday through Friday at 6:30. Streaming live on HAPS, uh, Twitter at SAIRNT, Haps at SAIRNT, Instagram. Well, Instagram doesn't seem like it's connecting right now, but it should be over at SAIRNT. Who am I forgetting? I said Twitter. I'm forgetting somebody. Twitch at SAIRNT, Facebook at SAIRNT, and YouTube at SAIRNT. Hi, Victor, Miles. I'm sorry, Miles. Joseph, hi, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you everybody for joining. Just let me know where it is that you're coming from. I'm not ignoring anybody over there in TikTok land. I just have two devices going here. Brat, and this is moving really fast. Toby, Alexis, thank you for joining. Caden, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Presley, thank you for joining. Metra, Linda, yes, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Opstop, thank you for joining. So what are we talking about today? What is that? We are talking about gut health. Is your gut healthy? Is your gut healthy? So just wanted to talk about that. Gut health is very, very important. One of the thing about gut health is we never really think about it. We don't think about it. We don't give it much thought, and it is actually very crucial for maintaining your overall health. I mean, it's something that's never really discussed. It's not talked about. Is your gut health? And it's important. So, is your gut healthy? Because 40% of the world's population does not have a healthy gut. And this is one of the things that that's never really paid any attention. We don't give it any mind. I mean, we just think that we just go on, and that's just it. So just want to talk to you about that. How comfortable does your gut feel? So I have assessments and things that I can use with my client, and we can go over how your gut feels, and how you're feeling, and we can give you some assessments, with regard to that, and let you know that I don't diagnose. Okay, so I'm not a doctor. I don't diagnose conditions, but if we come across something that we feel is like really like a major something, then we would actually refer you to your doctor so that you can get treatment for that, because a lot of times there are things that are going on with your body that you might just learn to live with, or you just think, oh, it's just, you won't pay it any mind. You won't think it's like something that's super, super major, important, So it's important, and it is important, because that's how diseases sneak in and get by us when we're not actually taking care and paying attention to the simplest, the smallest of things that's going on. So, for instance, gut symptoms are some of the leading causes of work absenteeism. IBS is number 2 in some countries after the common cold. That's the number 2 reason why people miss work, because they're, worried about social embarrassment. It causes poor work performance and lost productivity. And that's basically due to the unpredictable bowel movements or excessive flatulence, gas, right, and other symptoms. So it's number 2 reason why people miss work after colds. And so that's very, very important. So what I do is I assess symptom severity and frequency, and evaluate the disease, evaluate disease risk for medical referral. So we will refer you over to your doctor if we come across something that we feel is not something that if it's something that's more major. So, another thing about your gut health. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the likes. Another thing about your gut health is when you're overweight. So I specialize in weight loss, and being overweight or obese can worsen your gut health, right? So it's something that we call dysbiosis, but it can worsen your gut health. So bacterial imbalance and diversity of your gut microbiome, those things are what's very, very important. And usually obese individuals have less diverse gut bacteria compared to non-obese people. And also carrying excess body fat can lead to inflammation, and so you'll have a lot of issues that's related to that. And it can also lead to an exacerbated immune response, you know. And when we say an exacerbated immune response, I think I did a post where I was talking about like eating too much sugar. It was like in particular directed to one of those things was directed to the Black community, was that eating too much sugar can cause type 2 diabetes. That's an acquired disease that you can get, and when you have an exacerbated immune response, it means that you have a higher risk for severe diseases, which like the type 2 diabetes, which often with COVID-19 was part of the reason why people were passing away. Because if you don't know how COVID was affecting the body, we only heard about the lung problems, the breathing problems, those kind of things, but how the virus actually maintained and attacked the body, it had to do a lot with the pancreas and feeding off of insulin and sugar and the protein markers and carriers for that. And I've done a video about that already. So I did a live, but it wasn't on TikTok. So if you go over to YouTube at SAIRNT, you will be able to find that, where I did an extensive talk about COVID and sugar and how that worked in the body, right? So also, when you carry a lot of fat on your belly, which is visceral fat, that accumulation increases your risk for IBS. In particular, IBS-D, which is characterized by diarrhea. So, and we're still just talking about this is all about gut health, right? So we're still talking about the gut. So I'm not ignoring anybody over here in TikTok. Money Mitch 444, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. But the production of also, when you have poor gut health, the production of hunger hormones is primarily modulated by your gut. So you'll have issues with that. So with being able to control your appetite or having emotional eating and overeating. So the hunger hormone ghrelin, which increases your hunger, is produced by stomach cells. Right, so appetite suppressant hormones. There are 9 hormones that are related to hunger. You might have heard about ghrelin, and I don't know I can't say whether you've heard about the other ones, but the other ones like GLP-1 and PYY are triggered by from butyrate and propionate, which is produced by gut bacteria, and that happens when it's fermenting fiber, which is something that we need in our diet. So those are some important things. Also, the next thing on this would be sleep. So digestive symptoms like cramps and pain, reflux, if anybody has reflux or indigestion, things like that, they worsen from poor sleep. And gastrointestinal discomfort can also affect your sleep. So those are things that you don't want to ignore. So because it's a two-way relationship there when we're talking about your gut health. It is storming here. And the last thing would be that your gut health affects your happiness, your stress levels. Most of the production of serotonin, and that is the happy hormone, most of that is mediated by gut bacteria. And so gut disturbances are associated with irritability. If you find that you're very irritable, that you have high stress levels, um, you'll be at risk for um, poor mental health and things like that. You're higher risk for anxiety disorders and depression. All of this is related to gut health. So what you would want to do is you would want to get a screening for gut health, and to have your gut checked. And I don't know about other nutritional therapists or nutritionists or what they provide, but I do provide a gut health screening, a gut health check with my clients. If we get to that point and that's what something that they need, I feel like they need that, or they come in and they're telling me things, and we will assess that. So gut restoration is very, very important, and it is probably one of the number one things that people are concerned about um, when they're starting any type of journey. So I have an assessment, and we can go over part of the assessment just so you can see how that goes. But let me ask you this: does anybody out there have a concern for? And this is before we even get to the assessment. And just type your answer in the chat if you have a concern for about a bloated abdomen. I'm going to read through them and just type what if that's you, just type it out. So bloated abdomen, pain in the digestive tract, cramps in the digestive tract, heartburn or burning sensation, high acidity, reflux, stomach ache, excessive burping, excessive flatulence, irregular bowel movement, severe digestive discomfort, slow digestion, noisy digestion, vomiting, diarrhea, watery stools, constipation, hard to pass stool, feeling uncomfortable. I'm sorry, feeling uncomfortably overstuffed from a small meal, sleep disturbed from gut discomfort, cramps, reflux, pain, or other usual daily activities interrupted or affected by gut symptoms, or extreme hunger pains. Anybody have anything like any concerns about anything like that? I can tell you all from personal experience, when I was about, I would say about 16 or 17, I had developed, I don't know, at the time I didn't know what it was, but I had developed a severe, I wouldn't call it an allergy, but I was being affected by the foods that I was eating. In particular, it was meat, but I didn't know that it was meat. So it was pork, beef and pork. So I was just having very high stress when it came down to those foods, and I didn't know it. And we were pretty much like a meat and potatoes family. Coming from the South, a lot of times, there's lots of farmers. You can buy half a cow, and so we had plenty of meat. So we had plenty of beef and pork, and so we were like meat and potatoes. Was that at this particular time. And I remember I had that we ate a lot of meat, but I started getting sick, like every morning, and even all throughout the day, but especially in the morning, I would have dry heaves. It would feel like I was going to throw up, and it was always like I was always like going to throw up, throw up, throw up, but I never actually did. But it was just like heaving, like dry heaves. Nothing ever came out, and I was really, really sick, under a lot of stress. It was just, I really don't know exactly all that was happening, but I know that I was like under stress. And so when my parents took me to the doctor, my mom took me to the doctor diagnosed me. I got diagnosed with something called, well, how old was I when I had that? I don't know, 17. Maybe I was older than 17. I can't remember. Anyway, I was diagnosed with gastrointestinal issues, and that gastrointestinal, um, yeah, digestive health. That's what we're talking about. How is your gut health? That gastrointestinal issue resulted in me having to stop eating everything. So they put me on a diet where basically it was an elimination diet. I had to eliminate everything. I couldn't eat anything, and brought all the foods back one by one till we narrowed down the food that was causing the problem. And it turns out that it was meat. So it was pork, it was meat, pork and beef. I could eat chicken, but I couldn't eat pork and I couldn't eat beef. So those two were making me really sick. In particular, beef, and I happen to love beef stew and stuff like that. But in particular, that. And so I quit eating meat. So I never returned to eating meat after that. So, and anytime I do eat, the only two times where I ever ate, um, where after that you would catch me eating beef was when I was pregnant. I ate it and then I got sick. I was cooking it for, one time I was cooking it for my husband, and I got sick when I ate it. It was a roast beef, and I ate nearly half the roast, and I got sick afterwards. And then I was craving, what was it? Taco Bell had some. They had chili tacos at the time, and I was craving those. And but I was pregnant, and so once I found out I was pregnant, then I knew why I ate it. And then when I was pregnant with my daughter, I was I craved Whoppers, and I was like, just wanted a Whopper so bad, and like I ate it, and when I ate it, it soothed my morning sickness. It made my morning feel better, but then I got sick because I ate the meat. If you get what I mean, it fixed one thing, but it made me sick another way because I ate the meat, because it was part of what was causing. Because I had those issues with the meat, it never went away, but it helped with those morning sickness and those cravings and things. But I would get sick because now I ate the meat. But so I never went back to eating meat. But I was diagnosed with those gastrointestinal issues, and I don't have those problems. Only time I have it is if I eat meat, right? So if I eat something like that. But at the time I didn't know. And see, I'm pretty sure I had pretty poor gut health at the time as well, because I had spent the summer like eating one of the summers eating Snickers, and so like now I'm addicted to sugar. So I'm pretty sure I had poor gut health. Number one, from like all of that from eating sugar, but then also I was a kid that I had every winter I would get like tonsillitis, right? So I would do a regimen of antibiotics, amoxicillin, antibiotic. So every winter, it was, pretty much a given. I was going to have amoxicillin. I was going to have tonsillitis and strep throat and all that stuff. So my gut health was shot, and meat itself was not helping. But when I went to the doctor, they gave me a pill to calm my nerves, and that's what pretty much what I had to do. I had to take pills for, take those little pills for a while. But I said that to say this, that your gut health is so important. So I named off some things: bloated abdomen, pain in the digestive tract, cramps in your digestive tract, heartburn. I spent a lot of years with heartburn, right? And acid reflux and all of that high acidity. I spent a lot of years with that type of thing. Irritable bowel syndrome. I had that. If ever I eat shrimp, that just messed me up. Okay, and I realized it, and here I am eating shrimp, loving it, loving it, loving it, and then it would just really make me sick. I would get IBS from shrimp. So consequently, I eat none of those things now. And I'm not vegetarian or vegan. I did my vegetarian stint. I did my vegan stint or whole food, plant-based. I did all that. I'm not any of those. I just cannot eat those foods. I cannot tolerate those particular foods. Um, but I went through a lot of that. Constipation was a problem, and I'm like, this. I know this is, well. Look, we're talking about health and just getting healthy, so that was like a problem as well throughout my life as well. So gut health is like something that I find to be really, really important because now I don't have those issues. After I had my daughter, I discovered kefir, and that was, or kefir, however you want to pronounce it, and that was something that I utilized to help to get my gut back um, in a healthy state. So I did that, and so if I were to ask you, how often do you suffer from gastrointestinal symptoms? Would you be inclined to say daily, a few days a week, twice a week, or once every few weeks? Put it in the chat and let me know. Put it in the chat over here, wherever you are, wherever you're watching from. Put it in the chat. Let me know. How often do you suffer from gastrointestinal issues? How often do you have, we like some of these things that I mentioned: heartburn, stomach ache, excessive burping, excessive gas. Do you have irregular bowel movements? Is your digestion slow? Do you suffer from diarrhea or constipation, bloated abdomen? How often are you bloated? How often do you suffer from these types of things? Daily, a few days a week, twice a week, once a week, or once every few weeks? Those are important questions that you would actually need to answer. And another question that I would ask is, have you been to the doctor for your GI symptoms? Your answer may be yes, but it didn't help. Yes, it did help. Like, I went to the doctor for my GI symptoms. Yes, it helped. They gave me a pill for something else, but it didn't. It helped me to be able to bring foods back into my diet. But did it help me with anything else? No, because I didn't get any relief from the issues that I was experiencing with constipation or IBS or anything like that. They were not able to help me to determine all of those things. So, yeah, so when we're talking about gut health, these are the things that are important. Um, Many times, in many instances, when we get gastrointestinal testing done, the results don't show any medical disease or diagnosis, but your symptoms are very real. So, like, my doctor just treated me with something for nerves, but he didn't actually touch on really the full spectrum of the gastrointestinal issues. It's like I said up at the beginning. It's been estimated that more than 40% of the global population, and the global population. So when I say 40%, we're talking about of the global population. They suffer from adverse gastrointestinal symptoms, which affect the quality of life. And it's not related to any diagnosable gastrointestinal disease. So that's why having a conversation like this is important. So where are we at on time? So, oops, my battery is low. My battery is low. Battery is low. All right. Don't know if that went out there. Are you back? Okay. Let's pull this over so it doesn't pull down on the phone. Okay. So, let me see back to where I was at. I want to share a little scenario here. So, like I said, I took a lot of antibiotics um, for strep throat and tonsillitis and things like that. So that was something that would happen to me like on an annual basis. Hi, Matthias from Austria. So that was something that would happen to me like on an annual basis. So, for instance, you maybe have taken a course of antibiotics for a severe infection, and with that, you might start experiencing digestive symptoms like vomiting, nausea, diarrhea, bloating, indigestion, stomach pain. So, and that's quite common to happen when you take antibiotics for infection. Um, I would never recommend in that case that you stop taking your antibiotics, because if you stop taking your antibiotics because they're causing those problems, chances are you will not get your full. I'm trying to move my cords. You will not get your full cure from whatever it is that you were facing, whatever you were dealing with, and it could just come back and then be worse because it can cause a relapse. But keep taking your antibiotics. But in the case of something like that, I might suggest that you add probiotics to that to help alleviate some of the symptoms that you're experiencing. So, and to take those while you're, during the course of your antibiotics. We used to recommend, or it was thought that you could take that you take a regimen of probiotics after you finished your antibiotics, but studies have found that you would take your course of probiotics while you're taking the antibiotics to help alleviate the symptoms that come from antibiotics, because we used to say afterwards, because we know that antibiotics kills all bacteria, in your gut. So it's going to kill the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. It's going to just kill everything. But the thing is that if you have an opportunity to take probiotics while you're taking antibiotics, you will be getting the good microbes in there, and that they will help to alleviate some of the other symptoms that you're having, and it won't it'll also some of them will take root, and not all of them won't die off. And we don't recommend necessarily that you continue to take that at a high level, the probiotics after antibiotics, because once the antibiotic course is finished, taking the probiotics at a high dose, it's going to slow down what originally your body had. So your body makes some of its own good bacteria as well. I mean, it could, because they kind of they go down to low numbers, and you want that to come back. That's what you get from birth canal. So that's been with you your entire life, and so what you get from the birth canal, that is with you, it stays with you. And so then it would have a chance to regenerate. If you're taking a high course of probiotics, it won't have a chance to regenerate, because the probiotics are busy setting up shop, taking root, saying, hey, this is our home now. And as those, your natural microflora, your natural good bacteria starts to try and reproduce itself, the probiotics will fight against it. It won't want to make room for it. So we want you to get your good microflora back. That's what you got from the birth canal. That's what you got from being in your mom's, the just from your mom. So if you were breastfed, you got those probiotics. You got probiotics from your mom. You got your microflora. It came from your mom. You passed through the vaginal canal. You got microflora from your mom there. If you were born by C-section, you might not have gotten that. I can't, not as much, but you do get microflora from your mom. So, and from your environment when you're born. So, but so yeah, so taking a high dose probiotics will slow down the recolonization of your indigenous microbiome. And so we want you to have a diverse microbiome, diverse microflora, diverse good bacteria in your gut, and that's going to keep you healthy, right? So that's going to keep you healthy. So what does the program look like if you came to me for gut restoration? Well, the first thing that we do is we want to remove the excess. We want to identify and remove unnecessary excesses. These things can range from different food groups and to stress related habits. So remember I said that I had stress and I had a food group that was causing me a problem, and that happened to be meat, that was causing me a problem. And then the second thing is that we want to replace the losses. So, you want to identify and incorporate missing foods and nutrients back into your life, as alongside with good lifestyle factors such as quality sleep. You got to sleep good. You got to sleep good. Get your 8 hours, in. And then you want to repopulate the gut. So we want to restore your gut microbiome, um, in order to address any gut imbalances. And this is going to help alleviate gastrointestinal symptoms and strengthen your immune and mental health. Your mental health is directly connected to your gut, and you want to repopulate that with good bacteria. Make sure that your natural, indigenous gut bacteria, the good gut bacteria, is there as well. So you want a nice balance. And then the next thing is repairing damage that has been caused in the past. So that means you want to introduce a nutritional and lifestyle practice that's going to aid your gut lining. So, anything that's going to help improve the integrity of your gut lining are things that we would want to do. So that's what's done in gut restoration. Basically, you're going to clear the site. You're going to put the missing blocks back in the place. You're going to fix the leaks, and then just keep moving the good gut bacteria. That's part of the whole thing. Remove. So those are the things that we're going to do, right? So let's talk about. Got a few minutes left here, so let me go over a couple of different things here. Let's see. So again, I did mention that your gut health is tied to binge eating, extreme hunger levels. Let's go over that. The 9, let me pull that up. So, where would you say majority of your hunger hormones are produced in the body? Where do you think that they're produced at? Well, I think I've already told you up at the beginning. It's produced in your gut. Majority of your hunger hormones are produced in the gut. It's not produced in the cells, not produced in the pituitary or in the muscles or adrenal. It's produced in the gut. So let's talk about hunger hormones. There are 9 of them. And I think I'll post this. I'll do a post with this as well. But there are 9 hunger hormones. And the 2 most popular and the most talked about is leptin and ghrelin. So leptin, what it does for you is it decreases your appetite, and it's produced by adipose tissues, basically the fat. So it's produced by that. But leptin will decrease your hunger. But the problem is that if you're insulin resistant and you have a lot of insulin, leptin doesn't get a chance to work. It doesn't, the insulin and the high glucose in your blood is going to keep leptin from working. So it basically blocks leptin. So if you're insulin resistant, leptin is going to be blocked. So you're not going to have a decrease in your appetite, right? Ghrelin is your hunger hormone. So ghrelin increases your appetite. So, and it's produced in your stomach. So when you're the cells in your stomach. So when you're feeling hungry, that's ghrelin taking effect, right? So like if I've seen a lot of people on here fasting, and the fasting that they're doing, the people are fasting, and when you're fasting, day one, you all of a sudden you get like really, 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 really hungry. You start to feel it, be like, oh my God, you can't make it. Like, it feels like you're not going to make it. Well, your stomach is going to continue to release ghrelin, because it's your hunger hormone. It increases your appetite and it makes you hungry, hungry, hungry. Eventually, it will subside, but it will increase it increases your appetite. So the other hormones are, one is CCK, and it's produced by your duodenum, and it decreases your appetite. And then insulin's effect on your appetite is it decreases your appetite. Now, the difference between insulin and leptin is that although insulin will work to decrease your appetite, it's produced in the pancreas, and it's used to scavenge the blood for sugar and deliver the glucagon, those cells, to deliver that to the muscles and all of that, the tissue in your body. And if you have spiked level of insulin, eventually you wear out your pancreas. Okay, you're gonna wear out your pancreas. So there are cases of people and they have found that there is adult onset type 1 diabetes. Now, you may not have heard of that, but there is what they call type 1 diabetes is usually diagnosed in children. So if you have a child with diabetes, it used to be that a child with diabetes was a type 1 diabetic. Nowadays, they're diagnosing more and more children with type 2 diabetes. Hello, Key Live. Yeah, nowadays they're diagnosing more and more children with type 2 diabetes. Now, it used to be, like I said, type 1 diabetes was diagnosed in children. Adults didn't get type 1 diabetes. You weren't diagnosed as an adult with type 1 diabetes. You were diagnosed as an adult generally with type 2 diabetes. So there was a great distinction there. Nowadays, children are being diagnosed with both type 1 and type 2 diabetes because they eat so much sugar. There are some kids, some kids in some families, some households, they eat so much sugar that the children are now being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and that's really scary. Type 2 diabetes, and that's really, really scary for a lot of people, for kids to be developing type 2 diabetes when it was an adult disease. And now the other thing, because we eat so much sugar, okay, is now adults are being diagnosed with delayed onset type 1 diabetes, right? So they have completely went past type 2 diabetes to where now their pancreas is shut down and they're at type 1 diabetes. So, yeah. Which means that eventually those kids with type 2 diabetes will end up with type 1 diabetes. And those adults with type 1 or type 2 diabetes will end up with type 1 diabetes or type 3 diabetes, which, in case you haven't heard of that, type 3 diabetes is dementia, Alzheimer's, and it is pretty much a brain disease. So, yeah. So these are things that are not, they don't talk about that. You just mostly hear about type 2 diabetes or type 1 diabetes, but you don't hear about the other two because they're just now finding out that people who end up with certain conditions because we eat so much sugar. There's so much sugar in the blood, and the pancreas is having to work so hard to produce insulin that it's just shutting down, and adults are ending up with delayed onset type 1 diabetes. So glucagon, that is another hormone that is related to hunger. And glucagon is also produced in the pancreas, and it decreases the appetite. Amylin, it's beta cells, so it's the beta cells, and it's produced in the pancreas as well, and it decreases the appetite. GLP-1 is produced in the ileum, and it decreases the appetite. There's another one that is called GIP, and it has an indirect effect on your appetite, but it's produced in the duodenum. And then there's PYY. It decreases your appetite, and is produced in the ileum, or slash colon. So those are just hunger. Those are additional hunger hormones that are above what you would be familiar with, that you hear talked about a lot, which is leptin, ghrelin, insulin, and glucagon is talked about somewhat. So what we like to say is that your microbiome, right, is hungry. How hungry is your microbiome? How hungry is your gut, right? Because your gut can be hungry, and it is hungry for the foods that it needs, which is prebiotics, right? So prebiotics boost satiety makes you feel full, right? It feeds your your gut, the good bacteria in your gut. So, and it's a byproduct of fiber fermentation in the gut, and it produces propionate and something called butyrate, and they boost the release of the appetite suppressant hormone GLP and PYY. That's what tells your brain to stop eating. And if you got problems with that, and if you don't have the good gut bacteria, you're gonna have issues with managing your hunger, and you won't be able to stop eating. Or you'll eat, and then you'll be like, I want to go back, and you're going to eat some more. So it's all related. It's all tied to, like we said, like if you eat and you spike insulin, then your insulin, after you have the spike, your insulin drops, right? And then you start to feel hunger again. If you have good gut health, good gut bacteria, plenty of it, and you're feeding the good gut bacteria, what's going to end up happening is you won't have the spikes like that. You won't have as high as spikes. You'll stay level, and you won't be hungry like that, because you're not having the highs and the lows, right? And those two appetite suppressant hormones, butyrate and propionate, they help to repair your gut lining and keep it healthy. So what do you need to do for that? Well, you need to to improve your gut health, you need to get probiotics in. And we recommend getting probiotics. I mean, not a high dose of probiotics that you can actually buy. Sometimes that can just be too much, but you would get it through your food, in your diet, how you eat. Probiotic foods are something that we highly recommend that you eat. And then that you would eat prebiotics as well, so that the prebiotics will feed the probiotics, right? So kefir is fermented foods are where you would get your probiotics. You would get it in fermented foods. Okay, and prebiotics, let's scroll in here. Prebiotics, you get it in vegetables, like anything that has fiber in it. So artichokes, onions, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, things that have fiber in it. Wheat and rye, chickpeas, lentils. You can get it in fruits like watermelon, apples, and peaches. You can also get it because it is in milk, right? So lactose, so you can get it in the milk, yogurt, soft and fresh cheeses, and ice cream. ice cream can be a prebiotic. Yes, yes. Um, you also, it's in fruits like apples, pears, peaches, mangoes, dried fruit, tinned fruit. That's fructose, right? So that will also give you some prebiotics, right? And then in some sugar alcohols and vegetables like avocado, cauliflowers, mushrooms, you'll get things like that. And I think and we talked about the fruit, but so it just depends on what's going on with you is how you as to how you would be treated. It's just that simple. What's going on with you is going to be determined because everybody is different. Everybody is different. So it would just depend on your situation and as to what protocol and how you would be treated. But I highly recommend that you check on your gut health. It is super, super important that you check on your gut health. Is your gut healthy? Is it healthy? Are you experiencing discomfort when you eat? You know, what's going on with you? Some symptoms of poor gut health would be, and I think I've mentioned some of them, like IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome, diverticulitis. I mean, if you know, you know. I mean, if you know what that is, you're gonna know what it is that I'm talking about. You're gonna know the discomfort that you feel. I mean, after you eat, are you having problems? Does it occur, how does it occur immediately after you eat? You have problems. I mean, bloated abdomen, and this is part of the assessment that we would go through. Do you feel bloated in your abdomen? How many times a week do you feel that? Do you feel bloated in other parts of your body? Are you suffering from indigestion, suffering from diarrhea? Have you been constipated? Are you experiencing heartburn? Have you had excessive gas? You felt fatigued? Are you suffering from skin irritation after eating? You've been burping a lot? Stomach cramps, do you have those? Are you experiencing flu-like symptoms? Do you just generally feel worse after eating than you did before you ate? So those are some questions. And how many times a week are you experiencing those things? Will kind of determine what kind of what your treatment outcomes will be. So, I mean, if you're having a lot of discomfort, we're going to have to take a look at, okay, why is that not seeming like it's not working? Okay, it looks like it's charging now. Okay. So yeah, so we would have to take a look at that. If you have a high level of discomfort, that you feel bad every time after you eat and it is constant, this is going to indicate that there's something that is more serious. You have a serious gut problem, and you will be recommended to go and visit your medical doctor for treatment for something like that. You would really have to get that looked at by your doctor. So let me see here. Go through. So I think that I have covered a lot of this today. And yeah, I know nobody, it's not a very pleasant conversation because we're talking about gut stuff, but I mean, guts and stuff. But it's so important because your gut health is tied to so many different things in your body. And some people may just be suffering in silence. A lot of people do. They suffer in silence. Um, they don't talk about it. It's just be like, oh, I just got gas, and you go and get those certain uh medications and things that you take, and it's not making things better for you. You're not getting better. Like Pepsid, what was it, Pepsid AC or something like that. I remember people taking to kind of balance the acids in your stomach and stuff like that. So that's not really, and it's not really helping you a lot. So there's a lot that's going on in the body, and you really need to um, take care of your gut. And by the way, did you know your gut can taste the food passing through it? You got taste receptors in your gut. Yes, you do. You believe that. You have taste receptors in the gut, and it transmits a signal that regulates the nutrient uptake based on what you've consumed. In other words, they might be telling us what we need to eat at our next meal. That's why you be having a taste. Oh, I got a taste for. I got a taste for. You got a taste for. We all say that, right? I got a taste for. I got a taste for. I don't know, but I got a taste for. You be having a taste for something because your gut has a taste for, not your palate, not your mouth, but your gut, because it's telling you what you need to consume in order to stay healthy. Yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff, if I do say so myself. Well, I want to thank you all for joining me today. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, so I hope that you have enjoyed this today. And until, remember, you can catch this is going to be saved, and it's going to go into an archive file over at membership.sairnt.com. Yes, so it's going to be archived there. But until it's archived, you can catch it. You can go and look for it on Facebook at SAIRNT, YouTube at SAIRNT, and Twitter at Some Sweet Foods. They will be there until they're otherwise removed. But I thank you so much for joining me today. And until next time, peace and blessings.